Have push-ups as well from Drake, which is his response to Like That, which, personally, I think is respectable as a track. I think Drake does a pretty good job, even if like the shots against Kendrick and everybody else are a little surface level. He has multiple people to respond to on this track, not just Kendrick, but also Weeknd, Metro Boomin, Rick Ross, whose diss track I'm not even going to talk about in this video because it sucks and it's boring. Plus, a lot of what he tries to get at on that song is illustrated better by Kendrick on the songs I'm about to discuss. But still, again, even if we're not talking about a lot of depth and lyrical wit and substance on this song, it's still catchy. He still effectively fires back at a lot of different people. I'm going to throw this in the B tier as well. Also, we have to, of course, discuss J. Cole's diss against Kendrick on 7 Minute Drill, which lyrically is trash, instrumentally is trash, and even J. Cole was embarrassed by the song when it came out, and you can see why, because clearly his heart was not in this song, and on top of it, calling T-Pap boring is just like absolutely not true. Yeah, it's going in the E tier, because it should have never existed. Next, Drake's final contribution to the recent beef that he had with Kendrick Lamar, The Heart Part 6. Like J. Cole, it was also pretty clear at the very end of this track that his heart was not really in this beef anymore. At this point, Drake's name is being completely dragged through the mud in terms of the people he keeps around him, in terms of being accused of being a PDF file downloader. It's very boring. It's very drab. He just kind of reiterates a bunch of stuff he said about Kendrick on Family Matters, and it's just very underwhelming. I'm putting this also in the E tier. Family Matters was also Drake's other major contribution to the Drake and Kendrick beef, and again, I feel like this is the moment where Drake kind of went wrong. On this track, he tries to out Kendrick by copying from his homework and going through multiple phases and trying to do the whole I'm going to expose a bunch of personal stuff about you thing. And I feel like it starts strong, but it doesn't really end strong musically and flow-wise, even if some of the most scathing accusations on the track land toward the very finish. Also, very bad idea to sort of like divide up his focus across multiple people on this track. Even though it's really Kendrick, he should have been focusing on 110% throughout the entirety of the song. But again, rather than doing something like this, which is not really his strong suit, I feel like Drake should have gone back to basics, back to back basics, and actually try to hit Kendrick Lamar with a song that would have outdid him commercially and would have just proven to be catchier. But we really didn't get that, and unfortunately we just kind of got this very kind of wishy-washy, inconsistent misfire of a song that, again, tried to do what Euphoria did, but didn't quite end up landing. I'm feeling a C-tier placement on this one. We'll throw it over here toward the start. We also have the tailor-made freestyle, which is the one where he tries to, like, AI copy the vocals of Tupac and Snoop Dogg, which conceptually it is like, kind of a god tier psychological warfare chess move, but in terms of execution is just very tacky, is just very annoying, and makes it pretty horrendous and awful to listen to. Also, kind of a bad look in terms of like how it aged, because this was all an attempt on Drake's part to go to response out of Kendrick, and boy, did he get it. We'll throw this down in the F tier. All right, couple more left. We have Euphoria over here, which is Kendrick's massive 6-minute diss against Drake, which I think is really impressive. I think is really well done. This track really got people to start appreciating lyricism a little bit again, because it got so much attention and so many replays, because people were kind of going back over it again and again and again and reading into the wordplay, reading into the double and triple entendres, really doing their research on the track. I like the multiple phases of the song. It's really like Kendrick brought back Section 80 era Lamar on this record and totally killed it in the process. There are some moments where I feel like dragging it out to the length that Kendrick did does make it a little bit of a tedious listen, or lessens the impact of it a little bit. But you can't deny the fact that like Kendrick had a lot to say about Drake, and he was clearly motivated by a lot of personal hatred and passion on the song for sure. Feeling an A-tier placement on this one. Let's move on to Not Like Us, which is Kendrick's final contribution to his beef with Drake, at least as of right now. And yeah, this was pretty much his attempt at out-Draking Drake in the midst of this beef. Kendrick is the one who ended up nailing down the catchiest of all the songs that were released in the midst of this beef. And he does it with this crazy, danceable, West Coast style instrumental with Mustard on the beat. He just outright calls Drake a PDF file downloader multiple times on a crazy chorus. God damn, it's so infectious. God damn, it's so replayable. God damn, it's so freaking viral. It's insane. Like, there really is an argument for this being the catchiest diss song of all time in the history of diss tracks. And Kendrick did really like showcase some real versatility across this beef with Drake. The only downside of this beef ending is that we didn't get as many Kendrick tracks as we could out of the whole thing, because clearly he had a lot of tracks stashed, considering the pace at which he was dropping them. We're throwing this one over in the S tier. And finally, we have Meet the Grams over here as well, which I'm just kind of making very tiny because, you know, the personal effects of the photo. We're going to throw that in the S tier too. I'm just going to quickly say, and I have talked about this at length before, and I feel like I'm going to die if I go any longer doing this video because it's really been a marathon. But I feel like this track conceptually is like one of the most demented and sinister diss songs of all time. Like, you're really writing a detailed, scathing, nightmarish attack against your opponent in a series of letters addressed to their family and their loved ones and those who are closest to them. That is just on another level of sadism and psychosis that I just feel like no other diss track has been on up until this point. I mean, for sure, there are very aggressive and threatening diss tracks out there, but the mental games that Kendrick is playing on this track, especially with it sounding as freaky and as scary at the very end as it does, to me is, again, it's just like, it's another level. It's just another level of insanity. So yeah, Kendrick, in my view, has laid claim to two of the greatest diss tracks of all time pretty handily. And I know there are probably other diss tracks that could be brought up, could be discussed, but I've been going on for quite a long time. We have discussed a lot of diss songs, and I feel like we can kind of leave this here, at least for now.